Ciao.
What's up, everybody? You're back in here with the Pro Football Pod. You've got Hulk, you've got Coach, you've got Austin. We're hanging out. We've got the AFC West series we're breaking down for you in the season preview. Chargers for you today. So, I mean, I feel like we're obligated to say, like, who's got it better than us?
Bolt up, baby.
Nobody, right?
Nobody.
Is what you're supposed to reply
Nobody.
with? Okay, thank you, Coach.
Nobody.
Yeah. That's one of those, like, it's one of the corniest things in the world, like, as far as that saying, like, and how much they say it. But because he is so genuine and his family is so genuine with it, like, and they just lean into the corniness, it makes me love him. Like, I love Jim Harbaugh as a head coach.
I think the only one that's worse for me is Who Day, because Who Dat was already a thing, and then they were just like, oh, all we gotta do is
so many things.
change 2 letters and we got our own thing. Like,
Yeah, that one did bother me. Now, well, the who's got it better, that is just a specific Harbaugh family motto.
Harbaughism, yeah.
Yeah, and that just goes with him everywhere. And we've heard it for years. And like, they lean into it, so it makes me respect it. I appreciate him. But
I respect Harbaugh. I think that this team, not only from a fantasy perspective, but like everyone expects them to win the division this year. And I think that they're going to be good. Their team still has holes to fill, and they're still going to have
them to win the division at all.
It's Austin's not the only one that thinks that the Chargers and Justin Herbert are not going to have any failures this year. A lot of people think that Herbert was just held down by Staley and the previous regime so much, which I'm not going to disagree with totally. I just think
he have as his offensive coordinator last year?
I just think that the big thing is that they're a new team. They have a new identity. They're going to change things the way that they've been doing them. Everything is going to be different. It's going to take some time for them to get the gears rolling. Look at the Packers last year with adding Jordan Love. I expect some of that. The first half of the season, there might be some hiccups, some road bumps. That doesn't mean that they're not going to be great. And honestly, Herbert's such a fantasy darling because he's always been behind in his games and he's had to throw for 350 yards. I think where he's falling from an ADP perspective is actually kind of interesting.
Yeah, we'll dive into that for sure. Let's just go ahead. From a team perspective, we all know they lost all of those guys that helped Herbert in those come from behind fantasy games, to where Austin Eckler, Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, Gerald Everett, his tight end. Now they did bring in Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins, DJ Chark at wide receiver, Hayden Hurst at tight end, drafted Ladd McConkey, Joe Alt, Brendan Rice, Cornelius Johnson. So they're trying to replace some of that production with younger, more developmental type of guys, which I respect. Coming in your first season, you've got to get a feel for people. You're building a team. Like, you're starting from scratch here. You're just lucky enough to have your quote unquote franchise quarterback while you're doing this. So for me, like, I like the guys that they brought in as far as how they're going to fit what they're going to do.
I think my biggest expectation for the Chargers is it's going to be a 1-year plan to get them into a contender type of position.
I think they make the playoffs this year.
I
don't think they win the division, but I do think they make the playoffs.
They already had the youngest, highest paid offensive line last year. And then everyone just dumped on their right tackle all season long because he didn't perform. Basically, everybody else did. Across the board, their pass blocking and run blocking was mediocre, but it wasn't horrible. And it was mostly because of the synergy on the right side. So I'm really excited to see the freaking mountain that is Joe Alt come in to this team. I think a lot of people are dogging them for not taking Malik at 5. That would have been horrible. Horrible decision. You got to take the Dan Campbell effect.
Not even that, but for knowing your first 2 picks are going to be some form of offensive line and wide receiver. With the way this draft was set up, you were getting an elite of the elite guy at Joe Alt. Yep. Now, the guy you get next with Ladd McConkey at wide receiver, to me, in my opinion, was better than any offensive tackle you would have got at that position. So the way they picked it, I thought was correct. And I love what they did to build up that defense as well. Junior Colson, Justin Abogi, Tarheeb Steele at corner, Cam Hart at corner as well. They brought in your guy, your darling Kamani Vidal. I know you're going to be targeting him in a lot of rookie drafts. And I agree with you as well with the new coaching staff. And you've got an aging guy in Gus Edwards and you've got an injured guy in J.K. Dobbins. It's begging for somebody just to become the guy out there.
I think that
Are y'all trusting Herbert when it comes to fantasy? Like, are you okay with pulling the trigger? And
so let's talk about that.
Yeah,
he's
quarterback ADP right
quarterback here. 29, 170 overall means that's the last pick. Nobody thinks Herbert's going to do anything this year.
That's insane.
That's
insane. It's
right
I agree.
I know I'm always like, oh, Herbert won't get it done in the big games, yada yada. But when talking strictly fantasy, for a guy of his talent to be that low in fantasy drafts, like you're going as QB3 for some people.
3 quarterbacks are going after him. That's it. There's only 3 left, starting quarterback wise.
You'll have 2 quarterbacks most likely drafted before he drops to you there in the 17th round.
Because he doesn't have a real true number 1 receiver.
That's part of it.
I think that's so disrespectful.
And
I think
that's
going to benefit him. I think it's going to force him to become a more complete quarterback where you don't have that safety blanket in Keenan Allen there for you all the time.
What I think Colby's about to say is that Harbaugh in the run game
is going to run the ball. That's what they expect.
Run game, play action over the top. And look at what he did with just J.J. McCarthy. And we know J.J.'s got the talent, but he asked J.J. to do what he needed him to do. We don't need you to be Superman and put the team on your back. We need you to man the ship, make smart plays, make good decisions, move the ball down the field. Yeah, you can throw it 70 yards, but I'm probably never going to ask you to do that. I do agree. I think the Harbaugh effect on how nobody knows what they're going to look like, that does have some effect on where he's going in his ADP right now.
I think it's a lot easier to run the ball in college than it is the NFL. The NFL is a much different game. This is actually a passing league.
You have more space in college. The hashes are more far apart. Like you have way more space.
Yeah. Harbaugh is definitely turned up that he has Herbert to work with. And I just think it's a scary team because you don't know who's going to get the ball. There's 3 number 1s on this team.
Yeah, nobody's going to know until week 7 or 8 what the identity is going to be for this team and what they're trying to look like. You can look at Harbaugh's teams in the past and give you some kind of idea, but Harbaugh's never had a quarterback with Herbert's arm. Kaepernick could rip it, but he wasn't really asked to. They used his legs more.
Exactly. I think that what you guys are saying, the whole unknown and all these guys being drafted so late at their positions is going to lead to massive value. I'm absolutely targeting Chargers players. Am I targeting the running backs? Not as much. I think that the wide receivers, though, at Ladd McConkey, 46, wide receiver, Palmer at 59, and Johnson at 64, Chark at 98, I think that all of these guys at where they're being drafted could potentially rise in value. I think
Palmer's value is insane because of the rapport he has with Herbert in the past. Ladd McConkey being the highest drafted Charger as a rookie, that one blows my mind slightly.
How though? He's
at
literally
46,
a machine.
That's still wide receiver 3 territory. I'm okay.
I see him at 8 to 10 targets a game, easily, and coming down away with 6 of them on average.
That's my knock against
expecting
Palmer.
him to come in and be the Keenan Allen guy for him.
My knock against Palmer is that he's not going to get a lot of targets. He's
their field stretcher.
He's going to get some big plays, but everyone's not really expecting them to pull back the big play. They're expecting them to play fundamental, run-heavy football in a kind of Baltimore-esque way, which is they've got J.K. Dobbins. J.K. Dobbins is now a year out of tearing his Achilles. I know that he re-injured himself last year.
And Gus Edwards.
Yeah. Bro, I think that this team is going to be scary good.
There's a lot of value as far as where their ADP is right now in half-point PPR leagues. There's a lot of value.
Packers last year.
You're not picking a Charger until round 10, maybe round 9 if you go higher on Ladd.
Yeah.
And so you're filling out the whole back end of your roster, your bench, with these starters.
Yeah.
Like, somebody is going to give you production. They have to.
Do they expect them to be the Giants or the Panthers offense of last year? Like, that's not going to happen. They're going to be in scoring positions.
Not even that. If you have the Giants and Panthers offense with Justin Herbert on it last year, those offensives look different.
Thank you. That's such a good point.
I don't want to give Justin Herbert too many praises, but when you look at the guy, he is built in a lab. Like, if you're building a quarterback in a lab, he's one of the prototypes you choose. Like, so, I mean, I do have to give him his flowers when it comes to, let's not fully shit on the guy. Like, he is a top 12, top 10 quarterback in the league, in my opinion.
Exactly.
I'm not putting him top 3 like other people will, but he is up
top
there.
5. He's a top 5 fundamental quarterback. If
I
you
can
like
think
had
of 4
draft
quarterbacks
a
I'd rather have.
quarterbacks, a redraft right now of, you got the first 5 picks.
My biggest knock on him is that he's had Keenan Allen and Mike Williams his whole entire career, and he doesn't look like Josh Allen. He doesn't look like Pat Mahomes. He doesn't look like Lamar Jackson.
He looks better. He
doesn't. He doesn't win football games. He makes
those are
bad
3.
plays.
What's the 4th? What's the
2 is definitely a top 5.
But that is what I'm interested to see with Herbert and Harbaugh, is Herbert not having to make the Superman plays, because a lot of his mistakes were forcing stuff at the end of games.
Agreed.
Which is what young quarterbacks with great arm talent will do. We saw Josh Allen do it for the first 3 years until he got Stephon Diggs. And now Herbert doesn't have anybody like Stephon Diggs on his team. However, he does have a quarterback or a coach who's going to help him rein that in, who was a quarterback himself, who we've seen him develop quarterbacks time after time after time, becoming guys that can work his system. I have faith in Harbaugh. Like, I think the Chargers are going to be scary. I think the Chiefs need to keep their foot on the gas as far as this division is concerned, because Harbaugh is coming for it.
The Chiefs just got very fast. They just got a lot of things that are going to be really, really difficult to stop.
Fuck the Chiefs, bro. Bolt up, baby. What are you talking about?
Austin's AFC team is the Chiefs, or the
100%.
Chargers. We've established this at this point.
Oh, absolutely.
100%.
He was drafted one pick
Especially
after
because
Tua,
they've got
and
his
he's been
Michigan
going at
boy
it ever
running the
since.
helm now, and he's got a couple Michigan guys on the team.
Ever since Herbert's been there, y'all haven't been paying attention. Like,
Now-
that's been my quarterback.
Let's shift to the defensive side. How do we expect? Do we expect, a little upgrade on the defense this year? Last year they left a lot to be desired for how much money they put into this team. Bringing back Bosa and Khalil Mack, like I said, they drafted Cam Hart and Tarheeb Steele, Junior Colson at linebacker, who's going to come in and start day one.
Gangster pick.
Brought back Denzel Perriman, like Marcus Gilman, Derwin James. I like their safeties.
It's
To
their
me,
corners.
it's their corners.
And corners
Like,
so
and
important.
they drafted 2 of them back-to-back rounds for a reason. So, I mean, you would think with Harbaugh coming in, just the overall team identity, even on the defensive side, is going to have to change, right?
Agreed.
Like,
Staley just seems soft, man. Harbaugh's not that. He's intelligent.
100%.
He's very cerebral, but he's also very gritty, like very competitive. I think you're going to see a lot of competing. I'm so shocked that it was the Giants, not the Chargers, that got Hard Knocks. I think that the Chargers would have been such
the
a
Giants
good
the Giants got off-season Hard Knocks, like
Chargers
something
got
new they're
injuries.
doing, showing them from the time the season ended until after the draft. So it's
like until
showing
training
us,
camp starts.
Yeah, so we're not getting the typical training camp Hard Knocks with the
okay,
Giants.
so
We're
that
getting them
won't be
seeing
as
the
intriguing.
negotiations with Saquon, them trading for Brian Burns, them
I don't know if I'll
drafting
even
Malik
watch that.
Neighbors. Yeah, well, I will,
It's-
because I am
it's
interested to see
interesting
how much
to-
insight they give us into those back rooms
Exactly.
and like the inner
It's
workings
something
of
we
these
haven't really been
deals
able
and
to
how
see.
they go down. So I'm hoping they're giving us like legit full access.
Well, NFL, if you're listening, HBO needs to follow around the Chargers for training camp because it's going to be electric. I think that,
I don't know if I think first year head coaches are exempt from it.
Okay.
I forget the stipulations. It's like first year head coaches and teams that made the playoffs the year before. So every year there's like 3 or 4 teams that fit the criteria where the league can force them.
Gotcha.
But if a team is just like, yeah, we'll do it, then more than likely. So
no team wants to
Harbaugh,
do it, I don't think.
Harbaugh might be like, yeah, well, yeah, nobody wants.
It's a huge distraction. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. So with a record of 5-12 last season and an over/under of 8.5 sitting here, what are y'all thinking on the Chargers win total this year?
I think they go over. I think 9 wins is definitely possible. 5-12 was so ass. Staley just seemed like he was on his way out the whole time.
Yeah, I can see 9 in their wheelhouse for sure. Like if I had to put money on, I'd go over. I might be putting money on that. I really have like the where they set these teams at, like the last division we did with the Bears and the Lions and the Vikings.
Agreed. I mean, it was very difficult.
I liked all of those.
To like they were all right around where they should be. I feel like this division's a lot the same.
It's around 8
Looking
to 9.
at their schedule, just blazing through it with no kind of like actual analysis. Yeah, I'm with you. I think over. Like I could see a Harbaugh-led team pulling 9 wins out this season. I mean, they've obviously got the Chiefs twice they've got to deal with. The Steelers maybe could give them trouble. The Browns defense is very solid. The Bengals they've got to deal with. The Ravens. And then after that, it's really like nothing. So, I mean,
I can see them scratching 9 to 10, honestly. Like,
they are the team that's going to travel.
Over.
They're going to travel more than any other team this year.
Their schedule
as far as,
really
like,
isn't
miles.
too tough, though.
One, like, a little bit more than the Dolphins, but, like, twice as much.
It's hard
as
for me to
teams.
look at that, too, though, because most of the time, teams on the West Coast and teams on the East Coast do end up traveling more than the
like
teams
Texas.
centered in the middle. Yeah,
exactly.
like Texas, Kansas City, because you're having to go cross country to play these teams versus
all the time.
So whatever. 9 wins. We're all in on over 8.5 wins for the Chargers this year.
I think that's a very big possibility.
Okay.
Right?
Well, hey, who's got it better than us?
Nobody.
Hey, good job, Austin. I'm proud of you. Hey, we appreciate you guys sticking around, getting into all of our shenanigans. Please keep giving love to the channel. Our subscriber count is growing. Once it hits 500, we're going to do a jersey giveaway, a free custom jersey of one of you lucky viewers' choice. TulsiRoseTea.com is the sponsor. We love you guys. We appreciate you guys. Peace out.
Doses. Bolt up.